Welcome to the inner world of filmmaking. I'm your host, Tammy McGarrow. I'm an editor, podcaster, and still photographer. In this show, I will interview filmmakers in all facets of production and distribution. I'm happy to introduce Casey Price, who's worked as an actor, producer, first assistant director, and director. He's worked on films like The Forbidden Wish, Leave 'Em Laughing, Spree, and many more. Welcome, Casey. So happy to have you on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Tammy. Appreciate it.
So I met you recently on a feature film, Glass Casa, and you were the first assistant director or first AD. And I think that's a position that they love and they hate you because you have to keep things moving forward. So it's kind of a tricky position. So what drew you to the role of the first AD?
That's a good question. For me, finding my way through the film industry, everybody has different paths, right? For me, being raised in Virginia, military men, my grandfather and father both served in major wars, and then also being raised by strong women. So I have a certain foundation and a certain resolve. Yeah. So for me, my work ethic, working over the years, working in management and customer service and so forth. For Fortune 500 companies and then, discovering film at the meantime. And I'm like, wow, I can do this. I've been chasing that ever since. My background and then getting to film and discovering film. So at some point, I think everybody has it on a pedestal, right? Actors and film, it's this magical la la land, right? But
right.
For me, getting started in 1999 as background on an independent feature in Virginia, I could see everybody working in this chaotic environment, but it's still controlled and everybody's working. It's right. Everybody in the grip department, everybody art department, the AD department, everybody is working, doing something. And it's just like this beautiful synergy that I saw. And that just made me really hungry to learn more. And then once I did end up going to San Diego State, I got into the film program and then I understood the positions better. And then I could see, well, if you don't have this person in position, you're going to fall behind. And as they say in film, time is money, right? In business in general. So, if you fall behind, then you're going to be, have to come back and reshoot and spend more money and so forth and so on. And, and some people just need direction, and somebody that can be a leader and do as you ask, it's because I lead by example and that's just the way I am. Right. So like on this last set we just worked on, I'm jumping in for everything, right? I'm running slate. I'm helping run camera. I'm art. I'm running in. It's just that's something I gravitated towards with my background. I'm not a drill sergeant, but I can step into it when needed. But I'd rather, communicate clearly and also be communicated clearly too. It can be tough in a very stressful environment, especially when it's low budget and you have no time. But at the end of the day, I gravitated towards it, just my personality, my background, and I understood I'm the hub and I need to be in there and I can help us, sail into the sunset, staying on schedule and doing it in a safe manner.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, because you really definitely need to have a strong voice. You have to command the set. So people got to hear you. You can't be shy or timid. You have to be really loud at times.
Number one thing to whoever's listening, never yell on set.
Right.
I this last one, I didn't yell, but I had to project because it was just me. Nothing worse. Well, there are worse things, but on the film set, when you call for something on a walkie and there's no answer, the sounds of silence, that's just the worst thing to hear. And then nothing's moving, nothing's happening. And then I have to move off set and go and then, try and pull things together. Yeah. So never yell on set, but you can project when needed.
I love the distinction. Yes, I didn't mean by any means yelling. But you have to project your voice and be heard. And the walkie situation, yes. And in particular with our last film, there was 3 levels of stairs. So to have to go find somebody, it's like the house was huge. So it was like, where are you going to go? I totally get it. And you just never know where you are. And sometimes your crew could be very offset. So you have to go very far to find them. So it is so important to be on the walkies. That's why you have to have walkies.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through the responsibilities and the role of the first AD? What do they do on set?
Sure. Well, usually, to kind of, have a precursor is that when a production starts, you have a producer, brings on a director, And then, the line producer comes in, and then, okay, well, we need a schedule. We need an AD. Now they bring in the AD. So then the AD takes the script, and the AD goes through the script. And, for myself, like there's different scheduling programs. Movie Magic is the standard of Hollywood in the industry. So, you can get the file from what's the final draft and feed it into the program, and it spits out everything that's in the pages and dialogue, characters, props, etc. For me, I'm a stiffler. I like to do it manually because I've done it before and just missed something, and then I missed it because it got missed. And so I'd rather go through myself and read everything because for many reasons, right? It's on me if I miss it, but also I take the time to go through the script very thoroughly so that I know that that we need that tin can to be outside to have a raindrop, hit it on scene 37 on day 5, right? It's important for me to go through it like that, manually type everything in, because also, in this day and age, who's using a pen and paper really? So, try and get those synapses fire the best you can. Every word I basically type in myself manually. So anyway, that's the precursor to getting into production, right? So, you schedule these days, you try to, okay, great. We have 100 pages in 15 days. That's so ambitious. It's really crazy, but that's what everybody's doing right now because they want to do it now. They want to do it quick. They want to do it low budget. It really does affect the production because you spread things so thin that way. I go through the script, I break it down, I make the schedule. We have our production meetings, I'll be on the same page. Great, Art, you have this, and your actors are rehearsing this, and blah, 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 right? Make sure that everybody's coming together, right, to galvanize for our production. So then, I have my second AD usually. And then my second AD, they'll prep a call sheet, and then they'll send it to me to review and make sure, time is good to start. Actors are scattered, who's coming in that day, crew knows where they're going, all those important things on the call sheet. So I look over that and I confirm it, send it back to my second, and then, he or she will send it out to cast and crew, make sure they know where they're going. So now we're in production, right? So in production for the first AD, for me, I'm always early. There's the old saying, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late, right? Right. So for me, in my background, I'm always early for many reasons, but it's nice for me to get there and to see the grounds, see the area and get familiar, right, and settle in. And then when everybody comes in, great. Now I know the area. Bathrooms are over here. We can set equipment over here for time being. Makeup up here. All those things, right? And then we have our safety meeting once everybody gets there early. So we go through that. And safety meetings, they should be done daily, especially, in these times, you've had these accidents over years, and most recently from, the film where the young, cinematographer was shot and killed, on a film set. And that's a mother and wife and daughter and sister that went to work one day and didn't come home, right? Right. So we have to have these safety meetings because there's many reasons, right? Many reasons to have them because one, you want to kind of go through the day, right? And be like, okay, we're here, and we're doing this, and that, right? Also, okay, there's a stunt today. We're going to have a stunt coordinator in, just so there's like a little slap, punch, and maybe somebody goes to the ground, but still it's a stunt. It's an actor, a lot of actors, it's funny because you're like, they act so well. Like, wow, you really killed that. And it's like, how'd you do that? It's like, I don't know. I just trained for it the past month and now I know it. Because like a lot of actors, like, if you ask them, they don't know how to drive. They've never fired a gun. They've never been in a fight. It's a lot of these things you have to go over because, they did a stunt and they jump off of a 4-foot ledge and break an ankle, okay, that goes back to me and back to production and so forth, right? And that's, it's an injury, which you don't want. And then that person is your character and you lose them. And then there's money and maybe possible litigation because you didn't have, the proper things in place for that. But anyway, back to the safety meeting is, you want to go through these things. Okay, bathrooms are here. Here's our day. These are stunts that are happening. Make sure, that you're hydrated. If we're outside in the elements, make sure you're wearing proper clothing and it's going to rain today. You have an umbrella, stuff like that, right? You do want to go over and, and I always like to start off the production to where, we basically, at this day and age, just a lot of Zoom meetings instead of in-person meetings. I like to kind of get in a little circle and just like, let's all just, just say your name and what you're doing. in this production. And then that way we all form our bond. We know who we are. We know what we're doing. And then boom, we break out of the huddle, and then we get into the action. And then my second AD is goes to the PO production office or is close by set. They're making sure talent is coming through, going through the works for costume and makeup and so forth to be ready to be on set. And that way, while I'm on set, in a perfect world, we have stand-ins that come in and they stand in so we can pre-light, or even, we have pre-light days. In a perfect world, my second AD would get everybody through the works for talent. I'm on set, standing in as needed. Like I said, in a perfect world, though, we have stand-ins that we can light and save time, or pre-light days that, it's extra money for a production, but it does save the time. Make sure you make your day, especially when you get above like a 5-page, 6-page day. That's just more stressful, and you gotta keep moving. And that's like independent film life is, okay, we have 10 pages today.
You're right.
Let's go, So yeah, me being on set in the mornings or, the start of the day that's pretty much the start, the precursor, the start of the day. And then on set, I'm depending on my second to make sure talent's moving through. I'm on set, make sure we're moving safely. I stand in, I can grip if needed, as need be. But that's basically what I do, is making sure that we're doing things safe. We keep moving along. And for me, I think I have a particular skill set because, a lot of people say, well, I've worked a lot of positions in film and, and this and this, and that's great. And I definitely recommend it, whatever you can do. For me, I think starting in front of the camera, and also my background and business, is that I understand what's at stake, and that, again, time is money. So I also know what every position does because I've literally worked all those positions. I've done makeup, I've been a cinematographer, I've PA'd, I've directed, I've done all that stuff. So I know what goes into it. So you can't tell me, oh, I need 45 minutes. I'm like, I think maybe 20. Let's go 20, and I'll check back in at 15. And that's just like an AD's mindset, right? A good AD, because they know what every department is doing, the time that it is needed. Right? Because I'm going to give you that time, but also I know what you do, and I know what is needed. So let's meet halfway, and I'll check back in. And what can I do to help you as well? Yeah. Right. Now, can I jump in? Do you need to move a combo stand in here? Great. I'll fly it in real quick, So, so that's the AD is there to make sure, you're the hub, right? You're the hub on set. So every department is coming to you. Oh, great. We need lights. We need practical lights flown in. Great. Could you go take care of that? Great. Great. Camera's got to move. Great. Where are we going to? Boom. I'll help them move. It's all that synergy in a perfect world. It's all that synergy that happens, and the AD is the hub of it, because at the end of the day, everybody's busy doing their job, and the director needs to be working with talent and looking and making sure their vision is up front, right? And nothing else. Like, you can't come over and let the director and be like, "Hey, director, I'm sorry, but your talent is 2 hours late." Like, that's somebody comes up to me, and then I can figure out what's the best way to do, shoot around that, figure that stuff out. And then if I need to, I can find an opportunity to go to the director and be like, okay, this is what's happening, and this is what we can do to make sure we can overcome that. And that's about finding solutions. At the end of the day, we're all firefighters, really.
Right. Yeah.
Putting out fires left and right. Hopefully that answered. A little long-winded, but that's from my mom's side.
Yeah, no. It was great. And I just wanted to add to that, with the safety meetings, crews and actors change every day. So that's why it's so important to have them in the morning, because you've got different people coming in and out that may not have gotten the last safety meeting. And what you were saying about, like, if there's any stunts or firearms on set, you have to be aware of that during the day, that, hey, we're going to do this. This is the protocol. And I loved that they had a scene with a gun, and you were the only one handling the gun, which is what you should do. And then also that you went through it. And I just think that sometimes those things aren't done. Or you're also certified, right?
I am.
Yes. Yeah. Which is what you're supposed to be when you're handling a gun. And only one person should be handling that gun. Yeah.
Well, in the perfect world, when there is a budget, you have an armor. Right. And you have a prop master, and those people are working together, and they're always working with you as well. Like, okay, let me fly in real quick and grab, because as soon as, like, you call cut, like an armorer or prop master comes in and they take the weapon and they're holding that weapon, whether it's a gun or it's a sharp sword or whatever you potentially can kill somebody or injure
Right.
or maim somebody, a weapon, that armorer or prop master comes in. But in this case, we didn't have that, and that happens a lot on independent sets. So the AD needs to know these things, and I recommend definitely taking a firearm class. Fire a weapon, see what happens, feel the recoil, feel the power of that, right? And then also CPR classes, like the gentleman that played for the Buffalo Bills the other night on Monday Night Football had a cardiac arrest and fell right over on the field, had his heart stop. They had to give him CPR on the field outside of the ambulance, to save his life. And that's something that I think that is important too on a film set, is that not only an AD, but I think everybody should take a CPR class, right? And it's other
Right.
things that you could do to try and be the safest. A safety coordinator basically is, okay, great, we need CPR here. This is how to handle a gun and how to not point at people. And there's many other things you can learn to be safe on set, because it comes down to makeup too, and then food allergies and all these things that we need to be aware of, because a lot of times it's people working together for the first time on a set, and everybody has different needs and wants, and we're all the same, but we're different. Right. So, I think we have to understand that. And it's at the end of the day, we're making movies, but it can be very daunting if it's your first time being a part of it, and you get over your head and you're like, wow, I didn't realize like how real that was, but also in a safe environment. And that goes to cars too, right? Because a lot of times you don't have process trailers, which, the process trailer, for those who don't know, is you have a truck, and that takes the trailer, and then there's the car on top of the trailer. So the truck pulls that trailer safely, because again, a lot of actors don't even know how to drive, and they're just being pulled and they're acting in that scene. If you don't have a process trailer, now it's unsafe or not as safe, because 1, you don't know if that person can drive. 2, do you have followed cars? 3, do you have police in position, the highway patrol to lock up roads for you to make it safe? Because then you have crew and you have other casts that are exposed out, and pedestrians, and the list goes on and on and on. At the end of the day, we were making a movie, but we want to be as safe as possible. And I think that if you do your due diligence and be proactive and try to be the best you can as far as keeping things safe, it's better for everybody.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that, like you were saying earlier about, it's really important, I think, for people getting into the film industry to do a lot of variety positions, because it really gives you the know-how and the why for a lot of things, and can help you in the position that you end up wanting to stay in. Then if you don't have that training or expertise, or it's not even expertise, but just like doing it. I was thinking about that. It just seems like a lot of us do a lot of different positions. It's like you're not just one thing. You're like 5 to 7 things that you could do on set. And I was wondering, God, is that a good thing or not? That maybe, or is it a good thing to just start in all those positions to give you that and then to focus, or not? Are we just a variety position holder? I mean, do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Gosh, it's a slippery slope, because I mean, a lot of positions, and it's like they say, like you can do a bunch of positions, but that's going to also spread you thin, and how good is the quality going to be? I think that, like I said, it's a slippery slope. And if you try and do all these positions, and then maybe the quality won't be as good as it should be if you focused on the one. In an independent situation, you have to be able to be that utility knife, as long as you know what you're doing. All right. If you're just like, well, if you just fake it and, and then something messes up, that's not good. But if you've put the time in over the years, because, you can't just snap your fingers, and it's not Matrix, right? You can't just upload Kung Fu, right? And it instantly, right? And that's the same thing as operating, the equipment, because a lot of times, like, it's hot, heavy, sharp equipment that we're using. whether it's combo stands and from grip and electric, or lights themselves, which, you think 100 years ago and how hot those were, and the actors or talent that got, injured from that. Cause I know there's been times when, a hot light burnt, an actor,
Right.
or fell on them. And this is their moneymaker, right?
Right.
So, and now modern times, lights don't get as hot. Maybe they're not as heavy, but at the end of the day, there's things that can hurt you. Right. And if you don't know what you're doing, say something, right? I don't feel comfortable.
Right.
Can you show me the right way? And I think a lot of people don't understand that. And they're just trying to, that it's pride, right? I can do this myself, I'll show them. And then something happens, and then it falls back to you. And you said, what you could do. So hopefully that answered independent. Yeah. So, if you're a multi-tool and independent, it's great. But as you progress and you work with people and you trust, and you're just like, wow, I know that you're really good at sound mixing. I know you're awesome at makeup. I know you're a great cinematographer, right? It's like, I know that I want to work with you in the future, because at the end of the day, it's people that you can work with that, one, they know what they're doing. Two, they have a good attitude. And three, they're able to communicate clearly. If that person can't communicate to you, or you can't communicate to them, it's going to be a breakdown. There's going to be trouble, right? Somehow, whether it is very minuscule or if it's huge, right? So that's great for independent. But as you progress and you get on union sets and you're finding your path, like for me, being a first AD, DGA, that's the next steps for me. And, I'll have my resources, for a second AD, be spoiled, a second next to me on set, right? To where I can focus on everything that's going on set, right? And not be spread thin, because I have those resources in place. Then you have your key PA, your walkie PAs, your set PAs. And then, you have all department heads. Then they have their leads. Then they have their PAs and so forth, right? So everybody works together to help, one way or another. So just a matter of if you're on an independent feature with 25 people, or if you're on a union feature with 125 people or more, right, on your crew.
Right.
So, the old saying, fake it till you make it. Don't believe that, right? Do the work. That's what it is. And a lot of people don't want to do that. And you put the work in, right? Like me, I was curious after being background, because, Hollywood's on that pedestal and like, man, rich and famous and making movies. But, once you see everybody working, for me, that was the moment that lit the fire to be like, wow, these people are working. I like to work. That's what I want to do. And that's why I've been chasing, and I've been building it from the ground up, me personally, to know every position, and that I have a rare skill set because I put that work in.
Right. And I think you brought up some good points. And I think it's like when you're starting out, it's probably good to do a variety of different things to get exposure. But at some point, you have to narrow the focus. You have to start to stick and then only be in that department and really rising up if that's what you want to do. Otherwise, how well of a job are you doing if you first AD one or two times, and then you're a script supervisor one or two times, and then you're over here doing that one or two times? That's not going to be a role that somebody at a higher level is really going to want to hire you at, because do you do it very well, or do you just do the bare minimum? Because I see short films, and on this feature film, the script supervisor was like, oh my God, that's what a script supervisor is supposed to be doing. Whereas I see on, if you're just on a shorter film, it's like you don't need that level. But once you start rising up, you really do need the training. Otherwise, you could be released, because it's like, what? This is all you brought?
Yep.
For whatever. Or so I totally get that. One thing I just wanted to circle back to is when you're putting together the call sheet, are you working in Movie Magic and you're putting it in detail, like line by line, or are you working in a different software and entering it in?
Good question. Yeah, I've used all of them at some point or other for scheduling. There's so many different ones out there. Some are polished, but they don't perform how you want, or they make mistakes also, which that's just how it works sometimes. Regarding or depending on technology, because years ago, before all the computers were the thing, it was that, there was actually real paper strip boards, right? And you had the scenes on the strip board and you cut those out and you're putting those like a jigsaw puzzle on your cork board, okay, this is our schedule, right? So yeah, movie magic. That's the standard. That's what I use.
Okay.
And when I do have a second AD, which I've told myself over the years, I will never do another feature or production without a second AD,
Uh-huh.
because it's tough not having one, because you rely on that person to build that call sheet day to day to where you can review it and and circle this and look at that and be like, okay, yeah, this is great, change this and let's send it out, right? As far as the file I use, yeah, movie magic, I break it down and go in there. And once it's all typed in, it puts it into a strip board. It breaks it down scene by scene to strip boards. So now you can go in with your cursor and you can move each strip to
Yep.
each day, and you have the option. You can go to a calendar or you go to the strip board and organize it. And I kind of use all those resources to figure it out for the schedule. Once I key in all the information, like I said, I do manually, then it offers a calendar to where I can move those strips into. And then once I kind of get an idea of like, okay, well, we only have 15 days and we got to do these 100 pages. And okay, we're at like 9 pages every day, which is just madness, right? I mean, that's just like, you have to move so fast on a lot of these things, because I mean, I've shot 1/8 pages in a day and I've shot 16 pages in a day.
Wow.
And if you look at it, like, really got to think about what is your quality going to be if you're trying to take a shortcut for days on 100-page script. 15 days for 100 pages, it's a lot. I mean, you probably should do 21 days. Is it going to cost you more? Yes and no, because if you don't adjust for the more days now, you're going to have reshoot days and pick up days
Right.
later, and you're still going to have to use that money anyway. Yeah, Movie Magic. There's also Studio Binder. A lot of people use. Years ago, I was using one called Lightspeed, which was free for the first one you tried. But Movie Magic, it's I want to say it's like a little clunky, but it's the standard. And if people ask you, like a production or an outline producer ask you, use Movie Magic, and it's yes, right? Because otherwise, they want to be able to, because they use it too, and they want to
Right.
be able to share the files. And that
Right.
goes to my second AD. So once I've built that and made that, and the director, producer signs off, like, yeah, that looks great. We'll do that. Oh, I'm sorry, let me rewind. So I put it together, and then I connect either Zoom or a phone call with the director and walk through our days. Sometimes, a lot of times, the director knows the location or the scene to where we don't need that on this day. We could put this on this day. That'd be better because they're closer proximity, right? But this way, the director's a part of it. He or she can be like, okay, that's great or not great. Let's change that and this. And then after that, then we move forward. And then I send that file to my second AD. Then the second AD takes it and then they input it into the call sheet. And they've got their experience of staggering talent. They know, what to make maps, to get out to crew so they know where they're going, and stuff like that. And then the second AD sends me the call sheet after the fact. I look at everything, everything matches, or I need to tweak this, send it back, and then they send out the call sheet after that. But that's basically, did that answer your question for Movie Magic though? Or
Yeah. No, that was excellent. And that leads me to, what is the difference between the first AD and the second AD responsibilities? So you prep it, but then what does the second AD do? What is their role?
so second AD, yeah. So they're working, they're the people working directly with talent, to let them know where they're
Okay.
going, right? So they get the Movie Magic file from me, and then they take it and they run it through, usually it's Casper is their program. And so they run it through Casper to help them build a call sheet and get the information input there, right? Send it back to me. I confirm it. And then they're talking, they're doing the call sheet. Then they're also talking to talent, right? So they reach out to talent. Okay, guys, you know that you're going to be here on this date at this time. Here's a map, know where you're going. Please feel free to reach out. Any questions? Also, they make sides. They'll make sides for the talent, so they know exactly what we're doing on the day.
Wow.
Because a lot of times, you don't have sides. And for me, I'd like to be a little bit more modern and not waste a lot of paper. Because, if you look at years ago, just all the manual scripts and all the paper scripts on set and paper sides and paperwork, and it's just like so much paper. But a lot of things are digital now. So you saw me, I had my iPad, and
Right.
that's what I've been using for the past, 4 years on set, is trying to cut back on that waste. But the second AD, that's kind of the idea to get you into production and during production. So during production, I'm the first. I'm on set. I'm making sure we're moving along and getting things done. And the second, again, is prepping talent to get through the works, to get to set in a timely manner. And then when I call for them, they usually they can bring in themselves, but usually you get a PA or a key PA will help shuffle them in to set, and then we can get on our way. And then while I'm working, the second AD is also working on paperwork. They work on sometimes it's W-9s and pay paperwork, as well as time cards for talent, and then also. Sorry, the mailman's here. I think you hear my dog barking back there.
Yeah.
They're doing the paperwork and they're prepping the call sheet, right? So it's like they know. Say we're on day one, great. Now they're looking at day two. They're okay. They're listening to the same thing, and then about lunchtime they come to me and they say, hey, check it out, see everything looks good. Are we on schedule? And we're just communicating to each other to make sure that we're both on the same page. And, I can give the yay or nay, right? Like, okay, great. Let's stick with this call time. That looks good for a proper turnaround, which is usually 12 hours. The limit would be 10 legally. But, I'm all about proper turnaround because, we work long days. It can be very tiring for all of us. But, so that's basically the idea is the second AD and the first AD are working together. Stuff that I can't see or do offset, that's the second AD as they're taking care of that. And then in a perfect world, I have a second on set. I think did that answer your question? Or?
Yeah, no, that was really great. So who is talking to crew? Is that still the second AD? With the call sheet, is the second AD the one that sends out the call sheet to the crew and the actors?
Exactly.
But on set, they're really in charge of the actors, whereas the first AD is more in charge of the crew, making sure, checking in with everybody in the crew. How's lights going? Is camera set? Where are we at? Like that?
They're taking care of what I can't see offset, right?
Okay.
So it's like, okay, great. We have first team, how long? How long are they be ready? Second AD goes to makeup and hair. Like, okay, great. Okay, this is estimated time. We got 5 minutes. Great. Me and a good AD, like, great, let's try 3.5, right? Because we're trying to just shave off a few moments, right? Because those little moments add up to big moments, and then that can bog you down. So the second is there to make sure the time card's done properly, especially if it's a SAG actor. Time cards, they're doing other paperwork that needs to be handled. It's nice because sometimes they do my paperwork too. I'm like, wow, you went really above and beyond. So thank you very much. So they're just doing that stuff offset. They're my eyes and ears offset, right? And then if they have anything comes up offset, oh, great, the fire department's here because the smoke detector went off. And it's like they can radio me, let me know, but they're working on that, and then usually get like a producer or a line producer to take over that, right? But they're out there letting me know what's going on outside of set. Because for me personally, like in any AD, you should never leave set. I never see crafty table in my time when I'm working as an AD. I don't go get coffee. I mean, I don't really like asking to go get coffee, but sometimes, you need a little caffeine.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to give me a cup of coffee for PA or somebody. I think it's just, again, the safety issues, right? And just moving things along. And I don't leave set. So it's that time that you leave for a moment and then something happens, right? Whether it's an unsafe thing or a time thing. Yeah. So I'm on set and yes, I call for talent. Talent comes in. Now everything on set is me, right? And as the AD. So this is the thing, like a lot of first time directors, they're like, hey, where's talent? Let's get talent. And I'm like, I understand you're very enthusiastic about it, but wait till I know that all departments are close or ready. And then that's when I could call in our first team, because otherwise first team, the actors are just waiting and they're prepped and ready to go now. And then you just got them standing around. Now they pull out their phone maybe, and then they're kind of getting out of the moment. I try to, emphasize, just work with the actors once they're here when I call for them. And once we block it out and figure out our scene and what we're doing, right? Because basically at the end of the day, the first AD is the boss on set. And I don't want to sound like sound bossy, but you have to have a certain fortitude and a presence on set, right? And you can do it in a quiet manner. I'm a 6'4", 230-pound man. And so I have a certain presence, just that alone. When we get on set, the directors should be, again, just calm and doing their thing, drink their coffee, thinking of going through their storyboards, stuff like that, right? They're staying in the moment. Then me, I'm handling all the other stuff we just talked about. And then I found out from camera, you're close. Great. Let's call it first team. First team comes in. Right. We take a look. And before all this, you don't have pre-light days and pre-rehearsal days and camera tests and all that stuff, right? So when we first get there, I like to block it out. And it's just the director, myself, maybe the DP, and the actors. And you want to get on its feet, right? So they just kind of walk through the lines, right? Okay, we got an idea. The DP feels good. Great. We'll send them out, get them through the works, right? Time goes by. We're all lit, ready to go. Maybe a couple of tweaks when they get here. I call for first team at that time. Great. First team lands. We walk back through it again, get any tweaks that we need. We get a last look in there. And ideally, in a perfect situation, that's how it would go. And then we roll camera, right? And that's just efficiency. And that's just the way it should be. But it doesn't always go because you can get ready and then something, oh, wait, no, we got to change this light now. Oh, wait, no, we got to move camera now. Oh, no, wait, this happened. Or, it's always something. And that's why you want to try to be as efficient as possible, especially on low budget, features and productions to where you don't have all those prep days to do things. And you got to be as efficient as possible. Everybody is trying to do their job and come together in that synergy. But when you have people just standing around doing nothing, then there's a lull. And then things start to slow down. And then people they start disappearing, right? Okay, now I'm going to the bathroom. Now I'm going to the crafty table. Now I'm going to take a phone call or whatever it is. But so that's kind of the idea as the AD. Not trying to be too long-winded, but you bring in the first team, you go through it, you block it after you've already got it on its feet, and then you shoot it, and then you repeat, but also with a director that has a storyboard and they've gone through and rehearsed with actors and stuff, it shouldn't be too much they have to add to it, right? It's like, if we start going past 5 takes, there's going to be problems, right? Because things happen, right? The camera battery died. They need a last look. The prop wasn't in place or whatever it was, right? But it needs to be as efficient as possible. Like it's interesting because, you work in different sets and different filmmakers and, it's like, oh, Spielberg's great and does this and this. And then Scorsese does the one take. And then like Eastwood, he does like one take and they're done. It's like, there's no lighting. You just, oh, right. There's light coming through the window. Right. Shake the baby. Action. Right, go. Yeah. So as the AD, that's kind of the idea is that you want to be proactive and not reactive, because you start being reactive, then you're falling behind already. You have to anticipate and know, and that just takes experience and working in departments and working over the years to be able to help guide the ship in the right direction, whether it's making sure all your crew is accounted for on the set and doing what they're doing. If it's, you're waiting on talent to get through the works and then moving it into a positive, safe direction on set.
I love that. Now, is there gear for the first AD?
Is there gear?
Yeah. Like a camera or, DP would probably have the camera. I'm just curious, like, is there gear for the first AD? Like, do you need to have movie magic? Do you, what is the gear that you bring in? I noticed that you have an iPad and then your iPad had a slate on it. Is that your gear that you bring to the set?
So, yeah, that's a good question. Well, definitely Movie Magic or a scheduling program that you could rely on and know how to use for the production. Usually Movie Magic is the standard. And then it's, like I said, something it can communicate to your second and to, a line producer, because usually a line producer has Movie Magic scheduling and Movie Magic budgeting. That's right. So they're 2 different programs, but made by the same company, right? And they all communicate to each other. So as far as my gear, the top 5 things. Let's see if I can think of all of them. So definitely one is a Sharpie. Always have a Sharpie because, people don't bring reusable bottles, which I still don't understand why. They get these bottles over and over and they take a sip or they don't, they drink half of it and they don't label it. And then you just got all this waste and wasted water and resources. So a Sharpie, always, because a Sharpie you can mark water bottles. You can, black out something if you needed to, whatever. It's something quick and also it writes too, right? So a Sharpie, also a pen flashlight. If it's not number 1, it's definitely number 2, because we work in a lot of dark, tight spaces, right? If camera is trying to figure out, oh gosh, I'm trying to look at the setting here or whatever, I pull out my pen light, boom, because I try not to have my phone out too much, but sometimes I have to look at it because I got an email or a text from an actor or crew member, right? But because you have your flashlight on your phone, but the pen light is boom, it's right there. Click, click, great. Looking at camera in the dark, great. Or if I needed it for an eye light, right? Except I pulled it out for an eye light for the DP. Boom, oh great, love it, great, shoot it. So Sharpie, a pen. 3, the iPad is it's modern times, right? For the one I've had, I got 2017. I've been using it ever since on set, and I got a protective case for it, where it has a kickstand, so where I can put it on the table and look at storyboards and stuff on set. But also, it has like a little strap for your hand, to where I can hold it and look at the storyboards. I can see the script. I can see who's doing what. Connects to the internet too, right? So I can connect to a Wi-Fi. And then I can have every resource I need on that iPad instead of having a lot of paper waste. Water bottle, definitely equipment. Yeah. You could ask somebody to go and refill your water bottle. You don't have to leave set, right? And you're not wasting, right? There's a 5th thing I'm trying to think of. I never was Boy Scout. I was raised on hunting and fishing, but I have a Camelback that I got during the pandemic. And when I did the PA work and then AD work, I would wear the Camelback when sets started opening, and within it, I had a miniature level, because sometimes camera's trying to level out the Dana dolly, and like, oh, who's got a level? Boom, here's a level, right? It's a tiny little magnetic one, right? That just goes right in a little pocket. A pen, because sometimes people do write down stuff. I think those few things for an AD are very important. There's more, and it's all about what is good for you, right? Like, okay, you've done this, and this. What can you be more efficient at now because you've done those things? What's going to help you to be more efficient? I also key grip and work in G&E. So it's like I have a ditty bag, right? And that's over in the grip department, right? And the ditty bag, I use some of those things by level, right? That's it. That goes back into that bag. I have a tape measure. I have clips and C47s and tape, the gaff tape. I have tape on my bag that if you saw it on set, I have paper tape always, just because sometimes, there's a logo. Okay, let's Greek that, right? So go over and Greek the logo. That way it's not showing. Great, we're all square, right? It's just those little things, right? If you could think about that and have them close to you on set, it just saves time, because otherwise, great. Besides running out for an Apple box, right? We got to do a run to find tape now. We're going to run to find this, but you have it right there, and it just saves that moment. Those are kind of my few things that I would say are my gear.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of curious about the first AD. What is it? Because I know like the first AC has their little cart, and, so it was just like, I wonder what the first AD's cart would be. Yeah. And also, what are the apps that you use on your iPad? So do you have a Slate app on there, and then Movie Magic on there?
So Movie Magic, I have it on my desktop. Through EP is the company that makes it, and they didn't offer me like an iPad version. So I just got it for my desktop, and that's what I always use as my desktop for Movie Magic. As far as the Slate, the Slate was actually our editor's, Rich. That was his Slate. It was his iPad with the Slate application. Oh, okay. Yeah, and it had like a cool case that was like a carrying case, a handle. Yeah, so that was So I technically I had 2 iPads on me during the whole last production. And even Scrimpy walked up. She's like, "Here, let me see that." And I was like, "Why you want my iPad?" I'm sorry, it's not Slate. She goes over to the Slate that's sitting beside me, right? It keeps track of time code, of the take, but there are much more expensive ones that you can get that are digital, right? Digital Slate. I mean, it's like, I don't know, $2,000 or more, or something like that. For, but an iPad, you download the app and buy you a case. It's a good budget thing to have, because, again, on smaller productions that don't have the expenses, that's going to work best for them. But ideally in that situation, get a digital Slate, because then you can always jam it with the time code of the camera. And then those two are always on the same page. You spent that money, or you paid the kit fee to sound, because sound usually brings the Slate. Whenever you hire sound, they'll bring in the Slate. And sometimes they have a manual one, sometimes a digital one. And that was the first time using an iPad one. I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's good to know, because I didn't realize the sound is supposed to bring the Slate. I thought it was the camera department.
No, the sound.
That's good to know.
The
that's
more
great.
you know.
Now it's like, poof. Okay, I'm going to have to talk to some sound people that I don't think are doing that.
So usually sound brings it, and then you have a second AC that will run Slate. The second AC is also gives marks. So and then, the second AC helps swap out lenses and is there for a camera department resource. But yeah, but a second AC knows how to run a slate. So like if we had a second AC for the last one, I would hand it off to that person, and then they're running slate and calling it, putting marks on the ground for actors. But that was basically part of my duties.
Wow.
This last one was doing all that.
Oh, interesting. Well, it seems like on lower budget films, we're always having multiple hats, and fortunately or unfortunately. What do you feel is the best working relationship with your director? And how would you like to work, or how have you worked that's worked the best?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I've worked with a variety at this point. There's so many first-time directors now. It's a good and bad thing, right? Because a lot of times, they're prepared. They've been through it, and now they're just at a next level, right? And then a lot of times they don't know what they're doing, and you try to help and communicate, but it doesn't compute. With that being said, ideally, it's nice to connect on a phone call or in person, talk to each other, and then see how their personalities are. Because a lot of times, there could be personality conflicts, right? Sit down and talk to them one way or another. And get to know that person, right? Because, okay, great. Now you're somebody that I'm going to be okay working with for the next several weeks, 12-hour days, and see what his or her vision is, and see how prepared they are, and what they do know and what they don't know. And then, like I said previously, going through, breaking down the script and putting down the movie magic, and then getting an idea, and then reconnecting. And like, okay, what do you think about this, and this? Does this work or does it doesn't work? Because then they're part of that process also. Right? And you're communicating. Okay, we have these 3 scenes, then we have, 6 or 7 different shots per scene, give or take, right? But the storyboard it's a crucial part. And I say every director should storyboard what they're thinking, because, everybody communicates differently, right? And it's like, I have this wonderful idea that I want to put onto camera, and it's like, and I don't get it. But then you write it down, no matter if it's stick figures or if it's like a comic book or a Looney Tune, and then you show me, wow, that's clear, right? Okay, we can do that, right? I understand your vision now. And I think it goes down to communication overall, right? Find a common ground creatively to figure out, great, we're going to work together great, because you have your vision, I have an understanding of your vision. I can take your baby, and we can walk through this in a safe manner to get it done. But yeah, working with first time directors, I've done it. It's good and bad. It's just at the end of the day, you have to be able to communicate and trust your AD. Like when you're AD, and there's been many situations in productions where I go through a script and I'm just like, wow, these are really ambitious or dangerous, and this is not enough days. You need more days, and I point out all these things, and it just gets overlooked. And it sucks because, again, if you didn't, okay, great. If you just put on like 3 more days and be a little bit more comfortable, it's going to save you in the end to have to not recast, but, bring back everybody for reshoots and for pickups. You have to rent all your equipment again. Maybe the location costs money. It's like, and they don't think about this stuff. And that's why you have to trust your AD and be like, hey, instead of the 15, let's maybe do 18 days, and I'll break it down there. Let's keep our page count below 6 or 7 pages to feel a little more comfortable. We'll still be moving at a good click. At the end of the day, it's about communication. It's about trust. More often than not, a first-time director they're in over their head,
Yes.
9 times out of 10. And they're kind of faking it until they make it, until that moment to where you realize that you don't know exactly what you're doing. You didn't listen to the advice. And it can be frustrating. I gave you a list. I talked to you one-on-one, and it falls back on you because you didn't listen. And I think if a new director can do those things, communicate, be on a common ground with their ADs and crew overall in the production, and communicate their ideas, and listen and be like, yeah, no, that makes sense, instead of, oh, the money, which is dancing through their head of, I have to be in this many days to get what I need, but it's going to end up being what you said, and it's going to be, I need more days anyway. And it happens every time. I could make a list for you how many productions I've forewarned and foreshadowed what's going to happen. And yeah, it happens. And I don't want to say I told you so, but no, yeah, I told you so.
Right. Well, and that's the frustrating part, is that there is always problems on a set. There's always situations that you thought you estimated a certain amount of time and then it took double that for whatever reasons those are. Or you get an actor who may not know their lines, and then you're struggling with that in the performances. You're going into the 11th hour and people are just dying. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. This was awesome.
Well, thanks for having me, Tammy. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for listening. I encourage you to get out there and make a film. Reach out to your local filmmakers group to get involved and connect. Please subscribe to the show if you like it, and follow me on Instagram @TammyMagiro. Until we meet again, what's your story?